Yeah, I got one question about this Pat McAfee album. What the hell is this?
Like, seriously, what was the thought process from anyone involved in this album into thinking this was needed? The idea that Pat McAfee, ESPN sports analysis, talk show host, occasional wrestler, Pat McAfee, was due to finally dip his toes in the music world and drop a full on country album. 12 tracks, 42 minutes of pure, uncut country is just beyond asinine. The concept alone should have warranted it a low score, but I guess curiosity got the better of me and I had to check out just how bad it would be. And surprise, surprise, it sucks. But honestly, it might even be worse than I expected. This sucks. Instrumentally, this is easily some of the most generic and played out bro country I've heard this decade, with the typical acoustic guitar strums, the electric guitars with no grit in their riff, and some played out drum selections that offer no swing or atmosphere to these tracks. And that's if you're lucky you're not getting those disgusting trap beats that make for the worst of bro country. Occasionally there will also be a fiddle or a piano that sneaks in there, but by that point it's too little too late to make it anything worth caring about. Aside from the pop reggae sound of No One Ever Knows, you laugh but this does make for one of the better songs here, the rest of these tracks don't sound any different from the stuff that every other top 40 country radio station is playing on repeat. Vocally, Pat McAfee honestly just sounds like Jelly Roll. It's ironic that they both had a fight in this year's WrestleMania, given it seems like Jelly Roll must have elbow dropped his musical style and vocal cadence right into his soul, except it's somehow the worst version of Jelly Roll, whose vocals are more processed and robotic, so there's not even the gruffness that made him slightly enjoyable. It honestly gets uncanny enough to where I start wondering if we were seeing another case of AI generated music, and upon researching after listening, I do see that there might have been some AI used to make pseudo demos of his lyrics so then their producers could cut this stuff for real. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be suspicious on that one. Although I do 100% believe that the lyrics were written by Pat himself and not AI. Not because they're good though, but because they are some uniquely awful lines here. Just from the opening song, Pitbull and a Mugshot were basically attacked with bad lyrics. Scroll the feed, see some tweets, all some crazy ass scenes. We all hate the same folks, mostly lame bros. All the Aunt Karens need to go back where they came fro. From the burbs to the country, all the way to the hood. We can all get together, and motherfucker, we should. This is the song where he's trying to establish himself as this rough, hardcore man, and this is the best he's got? And even ignoring all the specific examples, we just go through a lot of genuinely annoying themes. At best, you get a lot of typical country songs about smoking and drinking, and at worst, you'll hear some absolutely insufferable talk about how he's an outlaw because he's a free thinker and a polarizing figure who doesn't care what you have to say. I also find the other songs where he portrays himself as this blue-collar man who's working his ass off just to get by insufferable. I don't buy for a second the guy being broadcast on ESPN is going through tough times financially. Probably the most telling example is on the final track, Cheers to the South, where Mr. McAfee talks about his country life with his John Deere, Jack Daniels, his patriotism, the dirt roads, and thanking the South for showing him love. And the dude is from Pittsburgh. I have more country roots than this guy. This album is genuinely horrendous, and not even in the fun way, but in the most lifeless and embarrassing way, where this feels nothing more than a vanity project by someone who didn't have anyone there to just say no.